Hey guys, welcome back to 19 Series. I'm Jake,
I'm Dave.
and we got a pretty good podcast for you guys today. We took a moment and sat down with the scrape doctor himself, James, and really got some new insights into how scrapes work and all that.
Yeah, if you guys are looking for some good info on how to make a mock scrape, what it takes, and honestly, what stuff you actually need to be successful with them, give this a listen. Take the time out of your day. You're really going to enjoy this.
Yeah, it was very insightful. Very can't think of another word for it. That's how
Yeah,
good it was.
he just goes through step by step everything, and he kind of goes outside the box, makes you think more about what the purpose is than just okay, I threw a scrape up. Like there's more to it, and you guys will see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So go ahead, give it a listen, and like always, give us a like, follow, subscribe, and let's get into it.
yeah. If you haven't done it yet, smash those buttons for us. We appreciate it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to 19 Series. I'm Dave,
I'm Jake.
and we have a special guest for you today. We have the scrape doctor himself, Mr. James Holm. How you doing, man?
Hey, you guys, how we doing? I appreciate you having me on.
No, thanks for coming on. We're excited. We're excited to be working with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Hopefully, you guys are going to learn a lot along the way here and get this mock scrape thing figured out for you.
No, for sure. That kind of leads us right in. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to. You know way more about this stuff than we do. What really is the mock scrape? What's the purpose?
The purpose is to put a deer in a scrape in front of your stand. That's the purpose, is to get that deer to come to where you're at, where the hunter's at, to make that kill. So that's the ultimate end goal for them. However, I use a whole different approach to that than most people. End goal isn't necessarily a dead deer all the time for me. Um, there are a lot of deer that come and go through scrapes that are never going to be killed, but they're the ones that are going to teach you what you need to know about what's going on in that scrape, or all the scrapes for that matter.
Yeah, it's more or less like a traffic area, right?
Yep. The thing is there are multiple types of scrapes, and the one that's obviously right now seems to be I see it the most, I read it the most, I'm listening to videos, watching videos of other guys that do this, and the word community scrape is all over the internet right now. Um, I don't call them community scrapes, I call them communal scrapes. Same thing, different word, just, and all that is that communal scrape is the hub. It is the scrape that every deer is going to hit. They all hit that one. Uh, there are other scrapes spread out along properties and around properties that don't get hit on a regular basis. Might be hit every 3 weeks, every 4 days, every month, once every 2 years. It's not a consistent thing. These communal scrapes are consistent. You can build patterns from those scrapes.
They're
You can pattern deer consistently with them.
yeah, they're like a day-to-day kind of activity.
Right. It's like text messaging from the woods.
Okay, okay. I always thought of it kind of like sort of like a coffee shop, if that makes sense, where
Yeah,
everybody kind of passes by. You just
yep.
don't know when they're going to stop in.
It's kind of like the water cooler at work. There's always one guy standing there hanging around the water cooler to gossip. Well, that's what some of these deer honestly do. They get to these scrapes and they hang out there and they just won't leave. They just hang around, hang around, hang around. Uh, and that's a whole nother part of a conversation we're going to have a little bit here, about the
Yeah.
deer that just hang around.
So with these mock scrapes, how did you learn so much about it? Was it all just like trial and error? How did Scrape Doctor come about?
I started, I, Here's this question. Every time I get asked this question, the answer is always the same. I made my very first mock scrape in 1985. So it,
Wow, so you
it,
got some experience with it.
it started there. Yeah, I've been doing this longer than most guys' dads have been alive at this point. So, um, it started there, and it started with, I saw these guys obviously not so much on TV then, but the VHS tapes. You run a VHS tape. Here's this guy walking through the woods and he's using this magic thing called pinks. And I couldn't believe it. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
no, that's not going to work. So I got to have it, right? So you run right out and you get a bottle of Tank 69. You run out to the woods, you pour it on the ground in a scrape that you found, and nothing happens because you didn't,
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been there.
because you just really didn't do anything but go give that store $4.99 in those days, probably. I don't remember, and talk about pinks to your friends, and I'm going to use this and kill a huge buck, and then nothing happens. So it kind of all started there, like it did for everyone. And then, of course, magazines back then are what we had. We didn't have the internet. So every article I could find in Outdoor Life and any deer hunting magazine and any kind of magazine rag that had anything about deer hunting in it or scrapes. If I read the word scrape, I read it. And just through the years, it just progressed and progressed and progressed until, I'm one of those deer hunters I've lost everything to deer hunt and to do the things that I do. I've given up jobs and relationships and all that just for the sake of deer. And then as I grew up and got older, and now I'm in my 50s, and I've worked with some other companies in the past that things come and go. And so here we are now. Scrape Doctor was born I left a couple of other companies. Owner died in one company. I wasn't part of the plan moving forward. So moved on to another company. That wasn't a good fit. And here we are. So we're headed into our third full season this year.
That's awesome, man. I love the passion you have behind it.
I don't mean to just over talk you guys either. So you'll have to talk right to me, or I'll talk and talk and talk.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So, did you come up with all of these different products? Did you design
Yeah.
How does that happen? How do you come up with the different chemical balance for a product like Scrape Magic to just
The
boom,
Scrape
generic
Magic
work?
The Scrape Magic is based off of the natural preorbital gland. That's the premise of it. Is it's a synthetic preorbital gland, which is that one right in the tear duct. The deer always jab their eye. You always see those deer jabbing their eyes on the stick. Well, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're in that preorbital gland. So it mimics that most closely with some other stuff added to create other instinctual behaviors, aggression, rubbing. I'm a big fan of trying to create artificial rubs in areas, for scent posts and signposts. Look how easy we pick off a new rub when we walk through the woods and you see fresh bark peeled off the side of a tree, so imagine how easy it is for a deer to see that. So
Yeah. That's one thing I've never had any experience with, was trying to get rubs created. I've never done that.
I tried once. It was not very successful.
Well, I've tried thousands of times and it's not always very successful, truthfully. I don't know if it's because I get lucky when it does happen, when it works, but I don't think so. It just is. I think certain deer are more predisposed to do the rubbing, to rub. We've got a lot of videos of some deer that are that's the first thing they do. They come up to a tree or whatever that's got a rope, one of our ropes hanging in it, and the first thing they do is rub the post or the tree. And then they go work the rope or the licking branch or whatever they do.
I think a lot of that has to do with different personalities of deer. I think personally, I see them as they all have their own little mindsets. They all have their own goals of what they want to do during that day. And I think some deer just fit the bill better than others, honestly, on what actions they take.
I would agree with that. All deer, like people, have different personalities and react differently to different things. And truthfully, they react to the same things differently on any given day. You could get one buck. We'll use bucks because everybody wants to see bucks in their scrape. And we'll get to that too. There's another subject we'll talk about in a little bit about the animals you want to see in your scrape. So you get these bucks that come on a regular basis to these mock scrapes. One, you get him 3-4 days in a row where he's just all about it and rubbing and in it and can't get enough of it. And then he comes on that 4th or 5th day and he comes up and he sticks his nose in it and he spins and he bolts and runs away from it. Why did he do that? You got me. And then he comes back 4 hours later and he just about tears it out of the tree again. So could be something, another deer hit that and he didn't like what he smelled from other deer. It's certainly not anything to do when you see an established scrape like that. It's never anything to do truly with anything that has to do with the scent that you put on there, no matter whose company it is. If the deer have established their own presence there and started to work that product, that rope, that branch, whatever it is, it's not the product that scares the deer ever. So,
Okay.
People that pick videos off the internet of a deer running away from a rope or a licking branch or something like that, and then say, well, it's because he used so-and-so stuff on the limb and it scared that deer. Well, I will about 85% guarantee you that was probably an established scrape and it was something completely different than that. So
okay, so people more or less play the blame game.
Yes, point fingers. To sell their own, the thing they use, or their buddy makes something better. Somebody always knows the guy cheaper.
Yeah,
that's the industry right there. That's the world if you think about it.
And that's where we're kind of, honestly, that's here with us with Scrape Doctor. We pride ourselves on being affordable for everybody because look, deer hunting's an expensive game. Everything about it costs a lot of money. You can't, from the tags right on down to your clothes, your socks, no matter what it is,
exactly.
It costs so much money, and we want to be part of the solution of that high expense game, not continue the problem. We want to help solve it. I want everybody to be able to buy one of my ropes and one of my bottles of scrape magic and go out and make mock scrapes. That's what I want. That's why our stuff's not expensive.
We align perfectly with that.
Yeah.
Because we see this whole platform that we're creating, this, I guess you could call it a brand, that we just want to show people that you don't need to be a millionaire or spend thousands and thousands of dollars every year to be successful and have fun.
Right.
Like,
yep. You're absolutely correct. And the industry as a whole has led people to believe if you don't buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that, you can't be successful. We all know that you can be successful with a 5-gallon bucket and a 100 feet. I mean, you don't have to have a single thing with a brand name on it to go out and be successful in the woods. There are gobs of guys that still do it every year. And the reason we don't hear from them is because they don't care about clout on the internet.
Exactly. I think of people similar to like my dad and like your dad, Jake.
Yeah.
Like not dumping a ton of money
Nope.
at all. My dad, I still wear some of his old camo stuff, to be honest with you, and go out there and be successful, make some memories, and you have a good time. I don't see why the world thinks we need to spend a ton of money. I guess that's just the economy. It is what it is.
Honestly,
I'm just trying to break that.
And on the flip side of that, you can't deny the fact that if you spend more money, like, okay, we can pick on Sitka gear. We'll pick on them. It's super expensive. Okay. But it's quality gear, right? Okay. I'm wearing Osseo gear now. That's what I prefer for my cold weather stuff. And it's cheaper than cheaper than Sitka. In my opinion, it's warmer. I'm warmer in that. I've worn both. But it's cheaper and I'm getting the same quality is the point there. And there's no reason to spend double the money to get the same exact thing.
Yes. Exactly. There's no reason to go to one of these big box stores and pick the most expensive scent off the rack just because it's expensive doesn't mean you're getting anything better, or honestly, you might be getting something worse. You probably are 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is big companies, the bigger name companies, have way less control over what's going on in that bottle.
The quality.
Right. There's no quality control. There's nobody there. Well, there is, but there's nobody really, not like what we have. You know, you can't do what we do and not have quality control on it. I mean, like I said, we pride ourselves. Everything we do is one at a time. You know what I mean? All these ropes and everything, not one of them will be exactly the same. They can't be. No matter how hard I try, they'll be as close to the same as they can get being made by hand. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's awesome that you're getting your own, almost like a little personal touch. You know you're the one making it. You know that you're taking the time, you're putting the effort in, and you're producing something that's actually going to show some success, not just like you were talking about earlier, a little bottle of Tinks that who knows where it came from or what's in it or how old it is or
yes.
Yeah.
You know, and that leads us right into the whole, you have to take pride in what you do or you probably shouldn't do it. And
I agree 100% with that.
You know, and that's, again, what we do here is my wife and I both are very prideful of this and can get our feelings hurt pretty easy. You know what I mean? If somebody's not doing it the right way, you know, and I don't know that hurt feelings are the right words. I get aggravated if people are not doing the proper things with my stuff that they should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing something you can actually take pride in.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like I said, it's a one at a time thing, and the tolerances are much better than having to do it in a machine. I can tell you that. I'd rather do it. So
now you mentioned something a couple times. You mentioned ropes. Now, every time I've gone down a scent aisle, I've never seen a rope for a mock scrape. I don't know if it's just I haven't been down there much, or I'm just not seeing them, or what. What made you go with ropes instead of
we have used hemp ropes in particular for decades. Mock scrapes are the new big thing that have been the best kept secret for the last 25 years, honestly. Every guy that hunts deer in the Midwest that has used over the last 25 years that you see using mock scrapes now has always used them. We just never talked about it because it was kind of a secret.
A little well-kept secret.
Right. It was an industry secret for a long time and if you did it and you used it, everybody said it was snake oil and you're a hack and it doesn't work and you're lying. And then, along comes trail cam. And guess what? Here comes proof.
Turns out that it worked, huh?
Now we can show pictures. Well, then trail cameras start to advance, and now we can not only show pictures, but now we have videos. Okay. Pictures are great. Really, they are. And I do like trail camera pictures of deer working scrapes and all of that. But you really don't know how much they like a scrape or a licking branch until you have a video of them. Because sometimes you get that bad product, you'll see that deer sniffing it, and the picture you get is them with their nose full in it. Well, the next frame, there's no deer there. Why? Because they turned inside out and ran. It skips something. And usually the thing that will do that is, and I will catch flack for saying this, but the fact that people are convinced that it's okay to put urine in the licking branches is beyond me.
That's the big Pennsylvania thing. Mm-hmm. The guys will make a mock scrape and they'll just pee in it, or they'll put some dough estrus in it,
little bottle, and drip it down the leaves and all that.
On the ground is great because that's normally where they pee, is on the ground. I've yet to see a deer walking through the woods on its front legs squirting urine in the trees. And I catch flack for saying this because I get the other side of that is you got these guys that say, well, haven't you ever seen a buck rubbing his forehead on his hocks and then rubbing a licking branch to deposit his tarsal glands there? No, I haven't, because that's not how they do that. the tarsal gland goes on the ground in the scrape as they pee through it and rub it and deposit it. I'm not saying that some of that doesn't get in there from them rubbing it on their face, but they're not purposely doing that. And I won't do it. And I will never instruct anybody that asks me about making my scrapes to put urine in the bushes or in the trees. I'm not going to do it. Because in my opinion, that's incorrect.
You see a buck, right? You say that does happen. It's not like there's a substantial amount going into that tree like these guys are putting in there.
Right. You got guys, well, I see guys completely soaking their ropes in urine just till it's dripping off the end of it. And first off, I'm not a urine guy. We can start there. I don't use very much urine at all. If I use 2 ounces in an entire calendar year, I've used a lot. I don't use it. I have it on my line. I have my Estrus RX on there because I had people specifically asking me to come out with one for them to use. So here comes Estrus RX, and it's doing the same things on the ground that the Scrape Magic is doing in the trees. So
okay, I've used urine in the past, and I've had some, I guess you could call it success, where you see, I think honestly it's more of I got lucky, to be completely frank with you. I think I just got lucky and it just happened to happen that day.
Yeah.
But I don't really know.
Well, and I think honestly, if I do decide to use urine, and I tell other guys this too, I mean, you may as well use your own because first off, you're getting it bottled fresh every day. It's never touched by human hands. It goes from the bottle to the ground and never gets touched by a human hand. And there isn't any other, and the deer doesn't care what kind of urine it is. They don't care. It all smells the same to them.
Yeah, it all turns into that same scent.
It's all ammonia, and it's all broken down in ammonia in 20 minutes. It's gone. So I have other theories on that. I believe they can pick apart male female urine. That's as far as I think they can go with that.
I could see that because different hormones within the properties.
Other pheromones, in the urine, as simple as that.
Yeah. So you mentioned your different products.
Yeah.
Are you working on anything new these days?
We kind of are. It's nothing that I'm going to talk.
You don't have to give any big secrets.
Right. I'm not going to talk. I don't want to talk about anything publicly just yet, but I am working on 2 new things right now. They are in the woods as we speak. So, and they're
awesome.
Same results as everything else. The deer are there every day. I just got pictures this morning from one of them. So everything's working just as it should. The catalyst is always the Scrape Magic. It's the star of the show. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
It is the star of the show, and it will continue to be. No matter. I tell people when they ask, I just say, look, I don't care if you've got pure whitetails rope, if you've got code blues rope. I don't care. Just get the Scrape Magic, put it on your rope, my rope, their rope, somebody's rope, the bushes. Just put it on something and thank me later. And just because it's that I have that much passion to get this stuff in guys' hands because I know what's going to happen when they get it.
What's gonna.
Yeah, I do know.
There's gonna be results.
Positive results, like nobody's ever seen when they've tried scrapes before. We are doing things nobody else can do, and I have said that over and over.
That's awesome. That is exactly what we want to hear, because we have a lot of faith in you. Like everything we see, based off of the Scrape Doctor, and almost like your system with your ropes, your poison ivy rope really intrigued me, to be honest. That is something that I haven't seen before, and you're just showing us awesome results. I can't wait.
Yeah. And they don't. And honestly, it's every day. Those, it's you could almost turn the trail camera pictures that we get. I could probably turn our Facebook page into a spam page relatively easily because I get a lot of pictures every day, and it's my fault for not. I mean, I could produce much more on Facebook and all my other platforms than I do. But I don't like to. I'm from the school of we don't you. Okay, I'm here, and I'm still going to continue to come at you, but I don't need to blast you 50,000 times a day. That's how
Yeah.
people. That's how you get people to stop following your page.
Yeah, you start to overwork it and push people away.
Yeah, and there are a lot of companies that have done that, and it has worked for them. But it also works for them, but now will never work for anyone else again. So we all have to find our
Yeah.
own way, our own niche, get in and do our own thing.
I want to touch on your poison ivy rope again. Like I was saying, that it really intrigues me. How did you come up with that?
Well, the deer are inherently attracted to vine and ropes. So we took the two of those, and I shoved them together, and out came the poison ivy. So that thing is built to be more like a real grapevine. It's heavy. It's super heavy, stiff. Was another rope. It's got another rope hanging out the bottom with another small vine that sticks out for positioning. Everything is flexible except for the main body of it. The rope at the end is you can bend it and position it how you want it. Got a hanger on the end to stick it right over a limb. I always recommend guys cut that limb off that they're going to hang it on because it's got a loop. I made a wire loop on purpose so you could hang that more stiff so it doesn't spin in circles. So it'll hang straight down like a real vine, and they can smack it and it'll hit them back. It doesn't swing wide. It swings a little ways, but then comes right back and hits them in the face.
Okay.
And then that creates aggression because what happens when somebody hits you in the face? You hit them back. And
Yeah,
that's
you get a little irritated.
right. You get a little agitated and you go, now wait a minute. You do that again and we're going to have a problem. Well, it happens every time they hit it. And then they get aggravated. Next thing you know, they're really wagging on it and throttling it. So the name is honestly came because deer like to eat poison ivy. My wife decided that was the perfect name for it because after all, it's a vine and it's for the deer and they eat that. So she gets credit for the name. And about that same time, another friend of mine said, why don't you call it the poison ivy? So the two of them get the credit for the name. I just put it together and tell guys.
Well, I think it's awesome. It
know,
piques your interest as soon as you hear it. I think it's great.
It causes people at shows they read the thing on the table and it really does cause people to step back like I have real poison ivy laying on my table.
Yeah, it's like it just piques your interest and you're like, huh, I gotta read a little bit about this. I gotta see what this is.
And it's like I said, it's a pretty substantial piece of equipment, honestly. It's heavy, it's very real. For an artificial vine, it's very real, if that makes any sense.
You just said a key word for us that we really, really like about your company, about Scrape Doctors. Artificial. So you're doing this, you're not just, nothing is fresh out of the deer, you know what I mean?
No,
so with us, we picked up a lease down in New Jersey.
Okay.
So down there, you're not allowed to use any organic products.
Right.
Everything has to be synthetic.
Yeah.
So it's just like that opens a whole nother door for us.
Yeah. Yep. It's it'll do well there. I've got some guys that have bought some stuff in New Jersey, so we've got a couple customers there, and it's doing well there. So yeah.
But yeah, just the fact that it's legal everywhere is super cool.
There are 2 states where synthetics are not allowed. Washington State and one of the Carolinas, I think South Carolina. It's not legal there either. But other than that,
Oh,
everywhere, and there are a couple other states that are trying to ban it. They want
well,
those states want you to
Okay.
use natural only, and some of those states make it so impossible. They want it to come right out of it. Only the deer you get that you harvest. So
really?
yeah, and that's just all that is.
That's
All
pretty
that does
crazy.
is open the door for people to break the law.
Yeah, that's a little wild to me that they want people to essentially cut their deer up and
I mean,
spread it around.
I've heard of it done. I mean, you can always pull that bladder out and sprinkle it next to. I mean, you always hear the old tradition of hanging the buck nuts in the tree and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Even like tarsal glands,
Well, I
glands.
do pull tarsal glands if I kill a really ruddy buck, I'll pull his tarsals.
Yeah,
But
I've done.
I'm
We
not the
do that
guy.
for your dog.
I don't put all my stock and keep it.
Oh yeah.
I pull them off and they get used within 12 to 14 hours because after that they start to lose much value, honestly.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. We've used them in the past to train his dog, his black lab that he has, to just, I guess, scent training, get on the trail, follow the
Yeah.
trail,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
yeah, that one's the guys that train those dogs use the interdigital gland for that, the one between the hooves.
Yep.
I tried that. It did not work very well.
No,
I don't know if the deer leg was too old or what, but
probably. It was probably just gone, honestly. It's probably shot. So yeah, the poison ivy is obviously all my stuff hangs. Everything I have is going to be vertical. We're going to be hanging it in branches. So, the ropes, it's just, I've got the two ropes and the poison ivy. The just a rope is a little bit shorter rope, and the just a rope squared is what that is twice as much. That's why it's got that name, and little piece of vine coming out of the end of it to give the deer somewhere to rub that preorbital gland, because that rope's a little more limber than the shorter one. So I wanted to give them a direct spot to focus, so they weren't just trying to back that rope around to rub on.
Okay, yeah.
makes sense.
I wanted to give you some props on your packaging, right?
Okay.
We're overseas at the
Yeah.
moment, you know that. But yeah, I was on the phone with my fiance while she was opening everything up, and she was like, "This stuff's packaged well. Like the tubes that you send everything in, it is like you have really good quality stuff." And I think that says a lot about a brand, is what they're willing to send the equipment in to make sure it gets there in one piece and not all totally demolished.
Yeah, just throw it in there haphazardly, and whatever happens.
Yeah, no, I think that says a lot about you, honestly, just based off that.
I appreciate that. And the other thing that we honestly are super prideful on is everything we have is American made. And I mean all my components, all my stuff that I build with, everything is American made. My wire, everything, rope, all of it is American.
Love that.
We love it. We appreciate that a lot because we're big patriotic guys.
I would say that you probably are a bit patriotic.
Yeah,
while we're right there, we definitely, myself and my wife, want to thank you guys for your service and for doing what you're doing, so we can do what we do.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like I think that things should be brought back to the U.S. We should make our own stuff again.
Yeah,
I don't like the we'll buy it cheaper over here. I'll pay an extra couple bucks if I know it's creating a job and helping somebody that's home, that's in our country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just even though I have to pay a little more to get my materials and all of that, but for me and the stuff that I'm doing, I don't have to pass any extra cost along to the consumers because I don't have to, you know what I mean? Just because my stuff's American made doesn't make it automatically more expensive like everybody. Well, you buy American, you pay more. Not always. It doesn't always have to be that way. And I'm not going to be that way. I'm not that guy, and I won't be that guy. So We're
That's
in
all.
this. We're in this to help people, not to hurt them. I mean,
Yeah, you're just spread the knowledge. You're spreading the things that you've learned over the years. You took that, you piled it all into a nice package, and you're helping guys that like us that really don't know a whole lot, and you're showing us the way, and you're doing it at an affordable price. Stuff that, like you just said, made in America. I think that's the dream. That's the goal right there.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's. I think we're running right in line with what our commander in chief wants everybody to do. Bring it all home and send it all out from here. You know, that we are doing what the American dream is right now.
Yeah, I think once you're gonna take this thing to the moon, man. I know you are. It's already blowing up. It's all over the internet. People are seeing it.
Yeah, yeah. It's strange to me to be scrolling through the internet and scroll upon my own stuff and go, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
It's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah.
you know,
We're finally starting to experience that ourselves.
Yeah. I've come across a couple of our ads.
yep,
It's pretty cool.
I'm seeing you guys binging around all over the place now. So we'll keep pushing and get you guys around, get you some followers here.
Yeah, what's your goal with the Scrape Doctor brand? What's the vision for the company? What's the end goal? What's the top?
You know, I don't. That's a really hard question. Honestly, it really is probably the hardest question because the end goal, honestly, is just to continue to help people and teach, and then from there, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I want to continue to sell product and do all of that. But it's the sales of the stuff. I truly, in my mind, I mean, yeah, it's important. That's why we're in business, but it's secondary to me because I want to change the way people look at the way all this has been done, these mock scrapes for years and years and years. I've been telling people for a decade or more that they're doing it wrong. You guys are doing this wrong. You've always done it wrong. And finally, some people are starting to hear me. Yeah, I still get told, "Oh, shut up! I've been doing it this way for this long." I said, "Yep," and it's still wrong. And the deer are
That's the way of the world.
This deer will still do exactly what I say they're going to do to you in the end, and then I'm going to have your deer. I promise. If I'm your neighbor, you're in trouble. You don't want me to be your neighbor on a deer hunting property.
Yeah, because you're gonna take them.
Oh, yeah. 100% every time I will take every deer they've got. And if the property's big enough, I'm going to take them and I'm going to keep them. They're not going to just pass. They're going to come and stay. I've got a whole system. This isn't just about mock scrapes. They're what I use as my key ingredient in my system, but they're not the only thing in my game. You know what I mean? I do full property setups, management, the whole thing, like all these other guys out there. You know, I mean, I'm nobody special and nothing any different other than my scrape game is, and it always sounds so arrogant and cocky to me, but it's just confidence. My scrape game is heads and shoulders above the bulk of the population as far as commitment to these scrapes for the deer.
Yeah, it shows based off of the content you're putting out. Like you're holding these deer, you're getting them back day in and day out.
Yeah.
I actually have a question about the scrapes. So we've heard that you should put water somewhere near, or put the scrape near a water source. Is that something that you agree with? Disagree? Is that a lie?
Every property I design or I set up for myself gets a water feature put in it. Every single one. It's the most important thing you have. Water and food are the two things they will travel and stay there. And even if you have a pond, creek, a stream, it doesn't matter. Put a water hole in because they're going to come to that instead. So yes, they're very
That's
important.
exactly what.
And
Yeah, that's exactly what we're hearing. We're
not
hearing guys
always
tell us
over
to.
my areas that I hunt either. I don't always have a spot where I hunt right over that water hole. I I don't even I don't even hunt over a lot of my main scrapes, my communal scrapes. I don't like to hunt over the top of those, and the reason is because they're communal. Every deer in the neighborhood comes to that scrape, right? So if you're sitting on top of it and you blow 2 or 3 deer out of there, that's it. You now created a problem for yourself. You're scaring deer away from the thing that you put there to draw the deer to it. Now you're chasing them away. Why are you doing that? Don't do it. I like
Yeah,
to
you want to use it more or less like a traffic area
correct.
where you want them to be commuting there,
I
and
do
you
want
catch
to
them on the way.
hunt the entrance and exit of that scrape. Most of mine, I can't even see them from my stands. I can only see the trails that lead to and away. So that's part of the problem the guys have too, is they want to hunt right on top of that scrape. They want to kill that buck while he's working that scrape. Well, then hunt the right scrape to do that. There's more to it than just, oh, found a scrape, I'm going to sit on it, hunt it, kill that buck when he comes back. Well, is he coming back? Is it that kind of scrape? I don't know till I look at it. I don't know. You can't, and I don't think there's anybody that can walk up to a scrape on the ground and say, oh yeah, that deer will be back in 14 hours. You know what I mean? If you're that good at it, phew, you better start selling tickets.
Yeah, yeah, I'll buy one.
Right, right. So will I. But yeah, so you've kind of got to know how your property lays out, how the scrapes are laid out on your property from year to year. If I go onto somebody else's ground and I start finding or they take me to the area, well, this is where the scrape lines are every year through here. Well, then you start looking for that one scrape. You look for the communal scrape. And if you can't find it, you find a location and you try to create that. I hear and I read a lot of people say, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to put in and I'm going to install a community scrape. No, you're not. You're going to go out and you're going to find a location and you're going to hope that it turns communal. If you pick the right spot, it will. And that's the bottom line there. You don't just get to go out along any old edge you want, make a mock scrape and go there. I created a community scrape. That's not quite how that works. And anybody that says that is how it works is confusing themselves. So, and again, the more of these podcasts I do, I'm sure the more people hear me that are also talking about what I'm saying on other podcasts, which is good because that's what I'm after here, is to stir the nest up a little bit. These guys need to be shook up some, and not in a negative way. You know what I mean? Just because you're a big deal in the industry doesn't mean you can't be taught something.
Yeah, we all can learn.
Yeah. Absolutely. I learn every single day. You know who teaches me the most about deer? Deer. That's who teaches me the most.
I've learned.
I've
learned a lot over the years by messing up. That's for sure.
Right. Trial and error. You make mistakes, and then guess what? You don't make that same mistake twice. And if you do, it's not a mistake anymore. So there's a lot more to it, like I said, than just going out, digging up the ground and spraying stuff in it. That's not a mock scrape. So, and as far as mock scrapes go, too much emphasis put on what's on the ground. Not important. The scrape on the ground is not important. Everything is in that licking branch. That's where all the communication happens, is up in their face, in those licking branches, in the foliage around that licking branch, and the little twigs and sticks around it. That's where all the talking's going on. Nobody's saying nothing on the ground.
Yeah, getting that scent pushed out. They're just freshening it up and freshening it up.
Every time a deer touches a licking branch, it gets refreshed and gets more information put on it. Is that deer stressed? I'm sure, and I know that those other deer can tell. Every single thing about those other deer by those the glands and the secretion. So
Now, how often are you freshening up with your product with Scrape Magic? How often are you going out and reapplying?
I'm telling everybody asked that, and 6 to 8 weeks is what I'm telling people for a refresh. And to me, it's at that point, it really isn't necessary to refresh it because the deer have been working it for that whole amount of time. They've been doing their
Okay.
thing the entire time. So all you're going to do is when you go back in and refresh is create a huge uptick in the activity at that scrape.
I'm seeing this as like you're putting a little hot sauce on there, almost like it's like you're getting that little, you're throwing a little spice in the mix, making them curious.
Yeah.
Like a little Facebook.
Yeah.
Correct.
Hey guys, just taking a little break here. If at any point through this podcast you're checking out Scrape Doctor, go ahead and also give our other partners a check out, Hunt Light and Wrecked. They're two other really good companies that we're partnered with. I think you're going to like what you see and you're going to like what you buy. So let's get back into it.
So I guess we'll kind of wrap this thing up.
All right.
I got one question I want to ask you before we head out.
Yeah.
If you could buy one product from your company, what would you recommend and why? What would be your choice?
If I was only going to buy one thing, the Scrape Magic.
Yeah, if you were going to buy one thing to start.
The Scrape Magic for sure. Without a doubt. It's, like I said, it's the star of the show. But the one thing that I reach for in the line the most that I grab is the Just a Rope Squared. I hang more of those now than I do any of my other stuff. My poison ivies, I use those a lot when I'm looking for that sweet spot to create that communal scrape. I use the poison ivies a lot because we use grapevines a lot to create that. So now I'm using the poison ivy in place of the grapevine because the grapevine, after it hangs for a couple years, becomes dry, brittle, doesn't hold scent.
Okay.
So then they quit using them. You hang that rope there, that poison ivy there, and it's not ever going to go away, and it keeps holding scent forever. So the Just a Rope Squared and the Scrape Magic combo would be the one thing I would tell people will give them the most bang for their buck.
That's the one
that would be the one thing that I would direct people to. Yes.
That's the ticket. That's what's really going to spark the show and make you realize what we've all been missing out on.
Yeah. Yep. And minus the you've got these ropes, they need to be hung at the proper heights. Everybody wants to hang everything way up high in the air, and it just doesn't need to be up high because deer are not very big. They're just not. My ropes hang between my belly button and my chest, that height, that window, and I'm 6 feet for reference there.
Okay.
The poison ivy, I hang that one at waist height. The rope and the vine are at my waist. So not near as tall
So
as
the poison
everybody.
ivy a little lower.
Yeah, everybody wants to hang this stuff way up in the air, and they like to see these deer. Everybody thinks it's great to get pictures of these deer up on their hind legs, up in their licking branches. Well, that ain't good at all because what they're doing is looking for another licking branch because they've broken all the other ones off and they're on the ground. They can't reach anything. So we go in and we hang a rope and give them something that they can reach because if you don't, they're going to abandon that scrape and go make one somewhere else.
Makes sense. Yeah, a lot of sense. That adds up.
They're already that time of the year when bucks are really working the scrapes and doing that. They're already as frustrated as they can get. Why give them more frustration? Give them something to take the frustration out on. Don't give them a reason to leave and go find something to do.
Yeah, create that reason for them.
Right, and that goes kind of right back to I know you just said you wanted to wrap this up, but I got a couple more things that just popped into my head.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
The guys always, you want these deer on their feet on your property in the daylight, and we're creating that daylight pattern with Scrape Magic. A lot of the bulk of what you'll see is your first couple of pictures are going to be in the dark. They're going to be at night because that's when most deer show up on cameras, in the dark. Well, then the next picture will be a daylight and a daylight and a daylight, and then you'll realize, why am I not getting any pictures of these deer in the dark? Well, because they're laying down. You've created a pattern where they're on their feet during the day on your property, where you are on your property during the day. You can't hunt deer at night, not in New Jersey either. I know you can't. You're not hardly allowed to do anything.
No.
So, and not only does that create that daytime pattern and daylight pattern, but you have to add quantity. It's not just, I made 2 or 3 mock scrapes on my property and now look at all these deer. That's not how it works either. Property we're on right now is 51 acres, I think, the new place that we just got. And right now, we just got it last year, haven't even hunted it yet. And right now, there are 73 locations right now, scrape locations, that I've put in.
Wow.
It's not.
Wow.
That's not a lot. By the time July rolls around, there'll be probably 350 on there. I'm not joking. That's
Awesome.
right. I just heard your jaw fall when I said that. I heard your mouth open, like, what's wrong with this guy? Nothing. What's wrong with everyone else? That's my question. Why aren't you doing this now? Because you're going to ask me, you're going to say, why would you do that many? Do the math. I learned this from another guy who's way smarter than me. His name's Tony LaPratte. Have you heard of him?
No, I have not.
You need to look this guy up. He has taught me probably more than anyone else in the industry when it comes to deer. I follow his practices very closely with a twist of my own. So again, that goes back to you learn something from everybody and then you do something yourself. Figure it out on your own, right? And do it your own way. So
you put your own little
touch
on it.
The bottom line with that quantity of scrapes is okay. They spend an average of probably 2 to 4 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes in a scrape, right? Each scrape. Okay, well, if you've only got 5 scrapes on your property, guess what? He's there for about a half an hour maybe. And guess where he's at then? Your neighbors. And he ain't coming back until he comes back to hit those scrapes again, which could be 2 or 3 days. If he's got a big enough circuit, well, if I've got 300 or 400 of them and he's in each one for 5 minutes, he's staying on my property a really long time. And by the time he gets done with even a portion of those, he's got to go back and start over. And he's never going to leave. He's going to stay on those scrapes and work them and work them and work them because he's a deranged lunatic by that point, and he can't help it.
I like that. You're just buying time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's only a matter of time before you will trick him into stepping in front of your stand. Because it's not, like I said, it's not just the scrapes. It's the food plots, the water holes. There's a whole system. It's a whole system, really it is.
Yeah, you're giving them a whole package.
Yeah.
So they don't ever have to go to your neighbors.
They don't need
you got solar
and
food, water.
That can work on small properties too. You don't have to have thousands of acres to hold deer. I'm not under the delusion that I'm going to hold every mature buck in a square either, in a block of property. No, I'm not. But if I can hold 1 or 2 that I'm after specifically, the rest are going to come. They're going to follow because there's cruisers that are going to show up and hang out, and you know what I mean? And then they're going to stay because they're looking for those does that are there now. So yeah, there's a lot of little twists and turns and little tweaks and things that you can do to create different things.
That's something to really think about. I've never thought about it as a time thing, and
It makes sense.
it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk more, I'm sure, by the time you guys get back home.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I've got lots of ideas for you. Because when you get back, you're going to want to get deer right away from these properties you got. So especially that new lease. So.
Oh yeah,
I'm already cooking a plan in
we're
my
going
head.
on the SmackDown train.
Yeah. I'm cooking a plan in my head for you right now. So,
I like it.
How big a lease did you get?
It's 56 acres.
Perfect. Them are my
56
favorite. Is it a square?
What was that?
Them are my favorite size.
Yeah, it's a square.
Oh, wonderful. Great. That helped. That makes it even easier.
Yeah, it's almost like a perfect square, actually.
Yeah.
Good deal.
It's got
Yeah, we'll talk then, and
we could discuss this for sure, and send you some photos and stuff like that of it.
Sounds good.
But anyway, man.
Yeah.
We'll wrap this baby up. Where can the people find you? We know you're on all the socials and everything, but you want to give a little shout out?
Yeah, I've got, like you said, I've got all the social spots. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I don't really do the YouTube thing. I have one, but I don't use it, honestly. But you can find us there. You can find all the products at scrapedoctor.com. Anybody that wants to reach out to me personally, I encourage it, honestly. You can find me on, like I said, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can reach out to me on any of those pages. My phone number's everywhere, all over the internet. Anybody that wants to call me, we can talk. So if you call that number, you get me, not somebody that works for me. You get me. So
that's the way it should be.
Yep, and that's that it'll stay that way. As long as I can keep it that way, I will keep it that way.
All right, James. Thank you for your time, man. This has been some great information.
Very insightful. I really enjoyed it.
I appreciate you guys taking the time, and I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing over there too, by the way. Again, we couldn't do this without you guys doing that. So
thank you. That means a lot to us.
Yes.
I close these all out with the same thing, if you guys wouldn't mind. I tell everybody that's listening that, you have to remember that memories are forever and they're free. So you could get out and make some.
Absolutely. 100%. Get out there and make them, guys.